That would be me.
Look who we're hanging with.
Jason David Frank.
Boom shakalaka.
Please do not change channel.
Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hangin With Web Show. I'm GW Pomichter.
I'm Christian Basel. Welcome back.
And we are at Tampa Bay Comic Con. That's the second time that I've blown that line.
Tampa Bay, Comic Con.
In 2 interviews in a row.
Comic Con.
That takes talent. Someone else's. We're here at Tampa Bay Comic Con at the Tampa Bay Convention Center in Tampa, Florida. It's a lot of Tampa.
A lot of Tampa.
A lot of Tampa. And we're hanging right now with artists Steve Lydic and Jeff Edwards.
Hey, yeah.
Steve and Jeff. Steve and Jeff. As far as you know, I'm telling the truth. Okay. So, guys.
I'm going to switch name tags later. That'll be the first episode on that one.
Yeah, people do that to me all the time. I don't know why.
Oh, God.
And there's the restraining order thing that I still haven't figured out. There's a lot of things going on at these conventions these days that I don't know about. Guys, let's talk about art. Because you guys are artists, and if I drew stick figures, people would run away. So that's how bad it is. I really.
That's cold.
It is. It's rough.
I like stick figures.
I bet you're better than you give yourself credit for.
Yeah, well, there was that one time, but I think I was really drunk.
Well, I
was trying for the straight line. It just came out much better.
I've known lots of my friends who get better with assistance.
Assistance. That's right.
Right.
A little
Muse in a bottle.
That's
right.
See?
Right. So maybe that's what
I
you're
could
missing.
name my entire 20s now.
We're really professionals. Trust me on this. We are.
All right, guys, let's talk about art.
Okay. Well,
let's talk about your art. That's good. So, what do you guys do?
Steve, hit it.
Well, I mean,
Boom, tell them. Let's tell them what they do.
We both do commissions and take work, and Jeff works on a lot of independent comics, and I'm more known for being a colorist. So I get a lot of work getting to color over a lot of the legends and professionals out here. The clients bring me their work, and I bring it to life with my colors.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you do the line art? Or?
Well, I want to circle back to me, but let's not overshadow. Let's not.
We don't want to diminish the colorist.
The legendary colorist, Steve Lydic. He gives a lot of credit to the other people here, and they deserve it.
Are you being bashful?
So does Steve.
Okay.
I mean, he's far too humble for his actual talent. He's a tremendous colorist. I've been working with him for a long time now, and I love what he can do. And yes, I do line art.
You do line art.
I
Okay.
do.
So, all right, so let's talk about that a little bit, guys. The difference between line art and colorist. Okay. And again, I think you're right. I think to the lay terms, and people look at it, you color.
Right.
However, I don't think people quite understand a piece of art tells a story.
Sure.
And it starts with the line art.
Yes.
But adding the color, shading, those things add dimension to your story.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, again, you can't diminish the coloring that goes on.
Right.
And
you can't diminish the line art that goes on.
There's something a little different. There's a different aspect. I'm not your regular digital colorist. I'm actually a traditional colorist.
Okay.
So I do everything by hand, which actually allows me to, color here at conventions that I go to, right there on the spot.
And you see that with a lot of digital colorists. They get to a convention, and it's it's either a real struggle for the colorist to do their work live because they are so tied to the computer, or there's a big gap in quality because they have to then switch to traditional. Steve can do it all, but he sticks with traditional for the most part that I've worked with him. And so when it comes to the convention scene, what he's built up a market as far as his fans is exactly what they're going to get. Yeah, you're right there,
and
easy peasy.
And I can really cater to each and every client that comes up as far as you know, what are you looking for as far as colors? You know, do you just want to see this thing come to life with just, you know, a basic color palette, or do you want something at a higher level? You know, something maybe even closer to digital but done traditionally.
Right.
So I give them that option. I add backgrounds where there is no background.
A lot of times.
Whether I draw it in or just color it in.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, the skills today that he focuses on is coloring, but he can do line art. And I can also color. So I do the line art and I can color, but I focus more on just the line
Doing
art.
what you enjoy the most.
Right.
But you know, my path to get where I am now in coloring actually started as a penciler. And
Okay.
I wanted to be a penciler,
Right.
but found out, you know, I just wasn't that fantastic at it. But I was really good at inking and I was really good at coloring. So learning how to pencil and anatomy and all that kind of stuff built or opened the door towards finding that coloring talent I had, because I was able to go in and, you know, understand, you know, the line work and penciling and
Just
evolve.
for everybody out there on YouTube and the World Wide Web, let's talk a little bit about that individual part of your journey.
Sure.
As a young artist, how did you find that thing that you were going to be good at or that you were going to have a passion for? Be it, like you said, coloring or line art. You could both do both.
You want me to
But
take this?
what is the?
Go ahead.
What was that moment that said, you know what? I think my passion is going to lie in this particular part of the art.
So for me, it was from the very beginning. I've had an amazingly supportive family, but I can't take all the credit. They were great. I was 4 and I read my very first book. Well, what a 4-year-old calls reading it, but it was issue number 7 of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it was a comic book.
Awesome.
And I read a comic book, and it was about 4 brothers. I'm one of 3 brothers. They were in the martial arts. I studied the martial arts as a youngster. It was almost purpose built for me. And then the first thing that just came to my head was, I want to draw this. And my family got me one of those like Fisher Price easels with a dry erase board and a little 6-pack of dry erase. I mean,
you can see that in Jeff's studio today.
Absolutely.
That's right.
It's a little dusty, but I break it out every so often. I mean, the original drawings were a bunch of green circles, but in my head, they were amazing fights between the turtles and the Shredder, and they just, I mean, if I ever needed a sketchbook, a pencil, a pen, anything from then till now, even now when I can afford my own, my mom's like, I got you a sketchbook. And I'm like, Mom, thank you, I love you, thank you. So I know that was the starting point for me.
How did you focus in on line art?
So I actually went to school for comic book illustration. I got my undergrad in commercial illustration, so I was doing like the Drew Struzan Indiana Jones movie posters. I did a lot of that, and book covers and all that, but everything I learned in traditional illustration, I do it in my classwork, and then I go home and I do it in comics, because it was just a different breed of illustration. I found out as I got through my undergrad program that I could go to get a graduate program, and all it was comic book illustration. So I was like,
So you did grad school?
I did grad school
Sequential art.
in sequential art, character and concept design, storyboarding. I mean, and the great thing about that particular program was all of the teachers, their day job was to do the job, and their night job was to come teach you. So if you went to a comic book inking class, I was taught by Mick Gray, who is an inker for DC. So he would bring his pages. He'd be working on Batman's pages that you're gonna see in a couple weeks on the stands, and he'd teach you what you were doing right, what you were doing wrong.
Yeah.
So I had a different route, because most schools don't do that, but I went to school for it. A lot of people don't, but I went
And
to
now
school.
from being able to do line art and creation to colorist, how did you focus in on that?
Well,
Is there a moment where you just said, this is where I need to be?
it's kind of weird because the internet had just blown up. It just became like, before, if you were gonna go and try and get into comics, you had to run to these shows with your portfolios, wait in line for portfolio reviews, and there was only a couple cons a year that were doing that, and they were the big ones. So and it was everybody else was in line too, so you had a lot of competition. So when the internet blew up, it just opened the avenue for artists like me and a lot of young artists now that are trying to do the same.
You know, we talk a lot about that on the show.
Yeah.
The last decade has seen a paradigm shift in the entire arts and entertainment industry. Whether you're acting or a musician or putting together a talk show.
Right.
The internet has opened up an avenue for you to pursue your art form. It's also created some challenges because it's also opened up more competition.
Yeah, it's kind of I think it's kind of flooded a bit. But so through the internet, I came across a couple sites, and there was one where there was a bunch of young professionals already working in the business. So this was making a connection between, you know, inspiring artists and working with them. And they had something very unique. They had these weekly battles where they would list a character. You had so long to do it. The pros would get in on it, and then you would get in on it, and you would draw the character. Then they would have a poll, and you know, whoever won got to claim whoever's sketch that they wanted on there, and it had to be mailed to them. Well, I was starting to notice that a lot of the guys that were winning were winning with colors. So I wanted to, you know, try it. So that's really how I got into it. I found that my colors were pretty natural. You know, it was really easy and fluent for me to express it.
Takes a very unique eye too.
Yeah.
To see a piece of black and white art and say, okay, this color would do this and that color would do that.
Sure.
And I know sometimes you get maybe direction from the line artist saying, this is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But most of the time it's your palette, your eye that goes into that, right?
Yeah.
Now, Garrett mentioned challenges. What is the most challenging thing besides the competition about your craft that you've come across?
For me, the most challenging thing is, as awkward as it sounds, given that we have all these new avenues, exposure for me is very difficult to come by because it's with oversaturation. You know, if everybody has a comic, then nobody has a comic because it's always a web comic that. And I'm not the type to want like $1 million contract or anything, but I have a mortgage I have to pay for, you know, the normal stuff, and so webcomics are a dime a dozen, but they also paid a dime, you know.
So even with technology opening
the
wild,
you've given everybody,
you see everything in the ocean, but now you see the other fish in the ocean.
Domain space, they are now a publisher. Well, no, you're not, and I hate to. That's critical. You know,
that's where. You know, anybody who's ever studied art knows the first thing you learn are you know 5 major parts of what art is, and you know number 3 is always mastery of skill.
Right.
And so if you're out there and you're a creative artist and you're chasing a dream, we're all the last people to tell you not to chase it, but we're the first people to tell you get to number 3.
Right.
And always work to master your skill.
Right.
So that when the cream really does rise to the top. If you have a gift for color, if you have a gift for line art, if you have a gift for writing, use that gift.
Right.
Don't go out and say, I'm going to create a webcomic, I'm a colorist, but I'm going to go out and create a whole thing.
Right. Focus is very important.
Do what you can do and do an extra. So you have an upcoming commission, I understand.
We do have an upcoming commission.
And when she writes stuff down, it usually means it's important to her. I don't know if it's important to the people on YouTube, but it is important to her. So we're going to ask the question because if I don't, she'll fire me.
Okay.
Do you want me to talk about the commission? Because it's actually quite unique.
Go for it. You have a unique commission.
It is because.
Okay, what are you working on, man?
Jeff and I are sitting basically, you know, table to table here,
shoulder to shoulder,
in the trench. This is a brotherhood, a camaraderie here.
It really is.
We're in the thick of it.
So we're both working, and this parent and their 2 adorable kids come up, and they were asking us, you know, how much to draw them as one, you know, as Hulk and the other as Spider-Man.
Right.
And you know, I was thinking about time, honestly. You know, 2 characters, you know, hey, 2 guys, 2 artists.
Yeah.
So basically I said to him, you know, what if Jeff took one child and I took the other child and we both, you know, did our own little spin on the commission. And so we're both going to be drawing each child on the same commission, and then I'm going to turn around and color it and finish it.
So you guys are each taking a character. One of the children has a character.
Right.
And going to take those 2 drawings.
Right.
Oh man.
And those 2 points of view.
Right.
If you're out there on YouTube and you've been to a con, you'll see every artist, every table is a different perspective.
Oh, yeah.
They have a different style, a different way of seeing the art and the world. So these guys are going to just cram it all together.
Right.
It's their fingerprint in the art world.
Yeah, right. It is, and that parent is going to love that piece of art.
I hope so. The two little boys were adorable, and they will be super fun.
What character?
I think one wants to be the Hulk.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because it's just a little. I think he's like 4.
Oh yeah, they could barely see over the table at us. They
That is awesome.
Oh,
I didn't quite catch the other one. I think the other one's supposed to be Spider-Man. I think.
Nice. We would look forward to seeing that.
I can't wait to do it.
We're gonna show everybody. Hey, you guys, send some work in progress pictures. We'll throw them out there.
You can do that. Absolutely.
That would be great. She's gonna wave that card. She's the rudest person. She tells us to shut up in the middle of a good conversation. But we're gonna listen to her because she helps pay the bills. So we're gonna say goodbye. We're gonna say thank you to our partners and our friends. Christian, thank those people.
Absolutely. Some in Unique Magazine, Space Coast Comics, Famous Faces and Funnies, Yvonne Mason with Off the Chain. Our new friends have just joined us, Pound the Grape over in Melbourne, and in downtown Orlando, Embellish FX, for all your cosplay needs. I mean all your cosplay needs. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell, or I think the subscribe button's here, and the bell, or one of those two, make sure. Yeah. Exactly, so because if you want to see great content like this and more stuff like this, you definitely want to keep up with us.
That's right. Guys, keep logging on, keep tuning in, and see who we're hanging with next. All right, guys.
Oh, man.
You.